Hello and welcome to the Home Designer Quick Start demonstration. My name is Philip and I'll be presenting for you today. Before we begin, I wanted to run through our agenda today. We're going to start off by drawing our exterior and interior walls and dimensioning them to create our floor plan. Then we're going to go through and define our different room types, add doors and windows, create an unfinished basement, and connect that unfinished basement to the first floor with a set of stairs, add a roof to our design a kitchen, and then create a layout for this kitchen and go through the electrical and deck and landscaping tools. So let's get started. Here we are in our Home Designer program. When you first launch the program, you'll be greeted with this welcome screen. In the top left-hand corner, you have options for starting a new plan or layout or opening existing plans or layouts. In the bottom left-hand corner, you have this option for quickly accessing recently used files. In the top right-hand corner, you can access training resources for the software. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have this new announcements section where you can see the latest news from Chief Architect. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this where I've already got the plan that we're going to be starting with today opened up. At the top of the screen, we have different tools for creating our design. We have different tools for walls, doors, windows, cabinets, etc. And these tools right here are considered parent tools. And if we click on a tool such as this wall tool, we have a set of tools appear on the left hand side called child tools that we can further use to interact with our design. We're going to start off by drawing the shape of our house. I'm going to select our straight exterior wall tool and just draw some walls in the general shape that our house is going to be. We don't have to be too precise at this moment. We'll come back and dimension them later. Once we have all of our walls enclosed, you'll notice that Home Designer automatically places dimensions around the exterior of our design, and it automatically places a roof indicated by this green dashed line throughout our design. Let's take a look at how this looks in a 3D view. So I'm going to go up to our camera tools, and we have a couple different camera tools we're going to be using today. To get started, we're going to be in our perspective full overview. So you'll notice that I clicked on it once and we're brought over into our 3D perspective full overview. You'll notice that in our 3D view, all the walls are already created. We already have that roof over our design, just like in our floor plan, and Home Designer has automatically put a foundation underneath our walls. You can orbit around your 3D view by left-clicking with your mouse and dragging your mouse left to right. You can also pan about your design by clicking on the scroll wheel and going left to right or any direction that you want. And you can zoom in and out of your plan using the scroll wheel. Let's get out of this 3D view and take a look at one of our other 3D camera tools. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this view, and the camera tool I'm going to select is going to be the dollhouse view, which is going to remove the ceiling and the roof off of whatever floor we're on, and you can tell what floor you're on in the toolbar right here. So here we're currently on the first floor, and we've removed our ceiling and our roof in our dollhouse view. And because we've enclosed our walls to form a room, Home Designer has automatically given this room a floor along with the base molding, and this is something you can set up within the default settings of the program. Next, let's work on dimensioning these walls, and one of the benefits of Home Designer software is being able to work in 2D and 3D at the same time. So I'm going to go up to our 3D camera view, and I'm just going to select our 3D camera tab right here and just pull it over to the side until we have it tiled vertically with our floor plan view. And you can also do the same thing by going up to window, then tile vertically, or pressing Shift F6 on your keyboard. So now that we have our two views tiled vertically, I'm going to press spacebar to unselect our camera tool. And you can also do that by pressing right here in your top toolbar. And then we're going to zoom in a little bit closer. And then I know that I want this wall right here to be a set length of 76 feet. So to change the size of this wall, I'm first going to select the wall, and then I'm going to select the dimension that I want to change. So I have this dimension right here highlighted, and I'm just going to type in the new dimension, 76 feet, and then we're going to choose which wall end we want to move, or we can move both ends equally. So we're going to set it to 76 feet and change the wall on the right hand side. And once I press enter, Home Designer instantly pushes that wall out, and we can see how that change is reflected within our 3D view. Next, we're going to change this wall on the right hand side to 55 feet 5 inches. So I've selected the wall. I'm going to select the dimension, type in our new dimension of 55 feet 5 inches, and make sure we have this bottom wall set to move, and press enter. And you can see how that wall is shifted. I'm going to do the same thing for this wall on the bottom, first selecting the wall, and then selecting the dimension, and then typing in our new desired dimension of 24 feet and pressing enter. And then I'm just going to continue dimensioning our last few walls here, 21 feet for this wall, and we're going to make sure we're moving the top wall. Select this wall right here and the dimension, and because we already have this wall dimensioned and this wall dimension, this dimension is in place. So we can just go ahead and press enter. And same thing with this wall on the left, because we already have our other two vertical walls dimensions set, we don't need to adjust this one. If we go ahead and take a look at the photo of our final design, you'll notice that all of our exterior walls are pony walls. So let's go ahead and get back into the program and change all of our standard exterior walls to be pony exterior walls. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize our photo, and the first thing we need to do is select all of our exterior walls. In Home Designer Pro, you can select all of your walls a couple different ways. You can hold Control and go about and select all your walls. And you can also multi-select objects in Home Designer Pro by selecting the Object's Parent tool, holding Shift on your keyboard, and then marking over the area from which you would only like to select that one object. So in our toolbar, I've selected our Exterior Wall tool. I'm holding Shift on my keyboard, and then I'm marking over all of our walls and releasing. And now I've got all of our exterior walls selected, and I can just open them up right here. While I've got our wall specification dialog box opened up, let's run through these panels off to the left hand side real quick. We have our general panel, which will control how this wall interacts with your design. The structural panel will be where you can tell this wall how to interact with other platforms, walls, rim joists, and framings in your design. How this wall will interact with our roof, if for example if we had a gable over this roof, which we'll go into more detail about later. How you want the wall to interact with the foundation. Here you can change your wall types. In Home Designer, Architectural, and Pro, you can create your own wall type by pressing Define here. And starting in Home Designer Architectural, you have different pony wall options, and in Home Designer Pro, these pony wall options are expanded upon. You can also specify whether you're going to have a wall covering, which begins in Home Designer Architectural. And if you're using this wall as a railing, you can specify the rail style, some of the newels and balusters, materials, and give this wall a label. So let's go ahead and go back up to our wall types. We're going to select Pony Wall, and then I'm going to change it to this wall type I've already created called Lower Pony. And you can see how that updates in our 3D preview off to the right hand side. Here you can change the height of the pony wall and how the pony wall will display in your floor plan. Once you're happy with these changes, you can go ahead and press OK. And the walls in our 3D preview and in our floor plan will be updated. Next, let's go ahead and add some interior walls. So I'm going to go up to our interior wall tool, and I'm just going to click and drag about in the location where these interior walls are going to be located. I'm not trying to be too precise at this exact moment. We'll come back and dimension them here in a little bit. Notice that as these interior walls reach our exterior wall, we get a dimension line indicating how far this interior wall is located from our exterior wall, and that's something you can set up if you want this dimension to be displayed or undisplayed within your dimension defaults. So let's continue drawing out our last few walls, and you can see how those are being added in our 3D view as we go. That's going to complete adding these walls on the first floor, so let's move into dimensioning these walls. If we take a look at our final floor plan, you'll notice that we have our interior walls positioned to be 26 feet from the exterior wall, kind of towards this top left-hand side, and we also have a manual dimension line running through our interior walls. So let's go ahead and get back into the program and model this. We're just going to minimize our photo. And these dimensions that you see going around our walls are called automatic exterior dimensions, and by default the program has these turned on. So let's go ahead and modify where this wall is relative to our exterior wall. So I'm going to select our dimension and change it to 26 feet and press enter. Now that we have that wall positioned correctly, let's go ahead and use one of our manual dimension tools to position the location of these walls running horizontally. So I'm going to go up to our dimensioning tools within the program, and the program will have several different dimensioning tools, and these options will vary just depending on which program you're using, and depending on what you're dimensioning there may be a more appropriate dimensioning tool to use. But for dimensioning interior walls, the best tool is going to be your interior dimension tool. So I'm going to select the interior dimension and then just click and drag it through our walls, and that interior dimension is picking up from the framing layer to the framing layer on the interior side of our walls. I'm going to press spacebar, and I know that I need this dimension to be 14 feet 6 inches from our final floor plan picture, so I'm going to select the wall that we want to move, and then I'm going to click on our dimension and type in our new dimension, and this interior wall is going to be pushed a little bit to account for this change in space. And I'm going to do the same thing with this wall right here. I'm going to select the wall, select the dimension, type in our new dimension and press enter, and that wall's position is going to change within our floor plan. Pressing spacebar, one last way to dimension your walls is through the use of temporary dimensions. So if I click on this wall right here, you'll notice that I get a dimension that appears as I clicked on the object. With your temporary dimensions turned on, when you click on an object, you'll get its location relative to other nearby objects or walls. And this temporary dimension works similar as the manual and automatic dimensioning tools. You just click on the dimension, type in your new value and press enter, and the position of that object, in this case a wall, will be updated. So pressing spacebar, let's go ahead and add some doors to our design. And to do this, let's work in 3D. So I'm going to click into our 3D view, and I'm going to go over to our door tool, and we have a couple different door tools. The first one we have selected is going to be our hinge door, but we also have a doorway, a sliding door, a pocket door, a bifold door, and a garage door. And with our hinge door selected, I'm just going to come into our 3D view and just click once where I want that door to be placed, and instantly we'll get a door dropped into our wall. Double clicking on the door, let's run through the dialog box for this exterior door. Under the general panel, you can change some of the general information of this door. If you want to change the style of the door, you can do so here, or by selecting a different door from the library. You can change the door type, some of the size and position information, some other options for how it's going to look in 3D. You can change the casing on the door here, change the lintel, the lights, change some of the information about the jamb, if you wanted the door to have an arch or not, change some of the hardware for this door. If you wanted shutters, you could add those here, change how the program should frame around this door, change the materials for both the exterior and the interior side of the door, the label. And then new to Home Designer 2018 is this object information panel. And when you use this panel, any information entered in here will be reflected in your materials list. And this is an option that's only available in Home Designer Pro. So let's go ahead and accept these values for how they are and press OK. And then let's go ahead and add a door into the interior side of our plan. So let's go back to that door tool, and then just drop a door where we feel is necessary. And notice that this program recognizes that this door is placed in an interior wall, so it's going to be an interior door, whereas this door should remain an exterior door. Next, let's add a French door in our plan in the area that will end up being our kitchen. So in our 3D view, let's select our mouse orbit tool, and then I'm just going to pan over to the area where our kitchen will end up being and zooming a little bit closer. I'm then going to go back to our door tools, and with my hinge door selected, just click once in the plan, and notice that by default it's still that exterior door style that we have for our front door. I'm going to click on this door once, and we get some handles that we can change the size of the door. So I'm going to select this handle on the right hand side and just drag it out, and after I get to 48 inches, the program will automatically recognize that this door is very wide, and it will change it to a set of French doors. And we can continue dragging this door out until we've reached the desired size. So now that we have this door to the desired size, let's go ahead and change the style of this door a little bit. So I'm going to double click on it to open it up. And we're just going to change the door style to be glass. And then notice that it changed to this white material. So now let's go ahead and change the material of this door right here. So we're going to go down to our materials panel. And the options that we want to change are the door itself. So notice that it's currently this color bone, which looks like a white color, but we want it to be the same color as our trim, which is this Brazilian cherry color. So what I'm going to do is select the door exterior side, and holding control I'm going to select the door interior side, and the ability to multi-select on your materials option is new to 2018. I'm going to select material, and here we're in our library browser, and we'll dig more into this in a little bit, but what I'm going to do is just type in Brazilian cherry. And then you'll see that option come up within our search results, and the option we want is Brazilian Cherry 4. So I'm just going to select it and then press OK. And then that'll be updated in our 3D preview right here. And then we can also change some of the rendering styles for this 3D preview. So right now we're in our vector view, but let's change it back to our standard 3D preview. And if we like how that looks, we can go ahead and press OK. And there our doors will be updated. Let's go ahead and make our 3D view our main drawing screen for now. So we're just going to select the tab, and once we have it as our full screen, we can just release it. And the next door we're going to add is just going to be a garage door over here in our plan. So let's move over here. And so to add that garage door, I'm just going to go over to our door tools, and I'm just going to click once in our plan where we want that garage door to be, and instantly it'll get dropped in. And then I want a second copy of this door about right here in our plan. So we could just click once to place another copy, but we have another way to do that in Home Designer software. So I'm going to select on this garage door that I already have dropped in once, and you'll notice that we get an edit toolbar at the bottom of our screen where we can further interact with this object. Towards the left hand side, we have different ways we can copy this object. So I'm just going to copy this once, and we get a set of subtools that pop up, and the one I'm going to use is called Reflect About Object. So what I've done is I've created a copy of it, and notice that my mouse is now changed, and I can instantly place this garage door anywhere I want, and we'll place a copy of this door. So I could click right here and place a copy of the door, but I can also press this Reflect About Object, and now we'll place a copy of our garage door about another object. So I've selected our garage door, and I've selected Reflect About, and then I can marquee about other objects, and you'll notice that I get that black dashed line indicating which object will reflect this copy of the door about. So once I'm happy with the object that I've got marqueed, I can just click once, and a copy of that door will be reflected about that object. If we use our mouse orbit tool and go back to where we dropped in that interior door, we can select that interior door, select copy, and then just paste a copy of it wherever we want. So with that, you can see how quick and easy it is to add and manipulate objects within Home Designer software. You can also dimension the position of these objects within walls. So if we press spacebar and get back to our floor plan, let's go ahead and dimension this door right here. And with our automatic exterior dimensions turned on, you can see that we've picked up the location of this door, and this is something you can turn on or off within your default settings. And you'll also notice that we have the width of this door from casing to casing. If we want to adjust this, we can just get into our default settings by clicking on this wrench icon right here, and you can also access the same command by going to Edit and then Default Settings, over to Dimensions, Auto Exterior Dimensions, and then if you do not want to locate your interior walls, you can check this option here, and if you want it to change where the exterior dimensions will locate your objects, you can adjust that here. So we're going to go ahead and cancel out of this, and if we want to move this door, we can simply select on the door, select on the dimension, and change this door's position within this wall, and you can see how that updated. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some windows to our design. So to do this, I'm going to go up to our window tools, and you'll notice that we once again get a set of child tools for adding bay windows, box windows, a bowed window, a pass-through, and then a wall niche, which is also new to 2018. And I'm just going to add a window right there. Let's go ahead and double click on it to open it up, and here we can adjust some of the options of this window, and you'll notice that most of these options are pretty similar to what we have for the door. You can change the type and the positioning, some more options, the casing, lintel, sill, sash, the frame, lights, shape, arch, treatment, other shutters, framing materials, labels, and object information about this window. Let's go back up to the general panel and change this window to be a fixed glass window. And let's change our width to be 18 inches and our height to be 60 inches. And we do want our floor to top to be 80 inches so it matches the header with our door. And now that I'm happy with how that looks in our 3D preview, I'm just going to press OK to accept it. And we have that window added in our floor plan, and if we take a look at it in our 3D view, we can see where that window dropped in. And then let's just select it and move it a little bit closer to our door. Next, let's place an exact copy of this window on the other side of the door. So with the window selected, I'm going to go down to Copy, Reflect About Object, and the Reflect About feature becomes available in Home Designer Professional. And then we're just going to reflect about this door and click once, and then we'll instantly have an exact copy of it placed on the other side of this door. And then lastly, let's add one more window over here for now. So we're going to go back up to our window tools and just drop another window in right here, and then just two more for now along this wall. Let's go back to our floor plan, and you'll notice that our floor plan view is starting to get kind of messy. We have a lot of different dimensions running through each other. We have our roof lines, our walls, and so now might be a good time to clean up our floor plan. To do this, we can turn on or off the display of some of these items through turning on or off the layer that this item is on. So for example, this roof is on its own layer, these dimensions are on their own layer, and our walls are on their own layer. You can access your layers quickly by going to this box right here, and if you're using a different program, it'll be under Tools and then Display Options. And then you'll have the Layer Display Options box come up. Now in Home Designer Pro you'll have advanced options for controlling your layers, but the basic concept still works the same throughout all of your programs. You find the layers that you do or do not want to have displayed and then just uncheck them. So for now we're going to turn off our dimensions, and we have two different dimension layers, automatic and manual, that we're going to uncheck, and then we're also going to uncheck our roof planes. So we're going to go down to our roof layers, and we're going to uncheck our roof planes and our roof baselines. And then the last thing I want to turn off is the display of our door labels and our window labels. So let's go to Window, and we're going to turn off the window labels for now, and then we can go up to our door labels and uncheck the display of those and then press OK. And so now our floor plan is much more manageable and easy to read. Next, let's define some rooms within our plan. So let's go back into our 3D view, and we know that this area over in our plan is going to be the garage. We mentioned that earlier, and we have the garage doors. If we click once within this area, I have the whole room selected, and you can also verify that in the bottom left hand corner where it says room. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the room by opening it up in the bottom left hand corner. Under the general panel, we can define this room as a specific room type, and we'll come back as to what that does more here in a little bit. Under the structure panel, you can control some of the hiding information for your plan, and you also have a dialog as to what this will look like. Under the absolute elevations, you can see specific data for where your room heights are located within your plan. Under relative heights, you can change specific information about the room. So in these examples, we have about a 9-foot ceiling, but for example, if you wanted this garage to have an 8-foot ceiling, you can specify whether it's going to be the rough ceiling or the finished ceiling that's going to be 8 feet. So let's go ahead and type in 8 feet, and once I press tab, watch what happens to our ceiling under our absolute elevations and in our preview. The ceiling dropped slightly to account for this change in space, and these values under our absolute elevations changed as well. And let's go ahead and check default to restore our default values. If you want to remove a ceiling over this room to create a vaulted ceiling, you could do so here. And there may be cases where you do not want a roof over this room, such as if you're working on a porch. And in Home Designer Pro, you have more advanced options for controlling the ceiling structure, the ceiling finish, and the floor structure and floor finish. If you've defined a room as a deck, you can specify more information about the deck and deck support here, and we'll get into more details about this once we build a deck. If you want to add a molding to this room, you can do so here, and make sure you have the correct molding profile selected. You can add a wall covering, change the fill style for how it will look in your floor plan, and change some of the materials for this room. So let's go back up to the general panel and specify this room type as a garage. Now, specifying a room type right here is very useful because you can quickly apply useful structural, functional, and appearance properties to different rooms. So by specifying this room as a garage, the program recognizes that you're probably not going to have a finished wood floor here, and it will replace the foundation stem walls with a concrete slab. So let's go ahead and press OK to our garage room type, and instantly the program recognized that this room is a garage. It replaced the flooring like we anticipated, and it also replaced our traditional stem walls with a concrete slab foundation. Let's go ahead and tile our screens vertically by pressing Shift F6 on the keyboard. And next, let's add a kitchen over to this area in our plan. So in both our floor plan and in our 3D view, we're going to navigate over here. And we're going to separate this area off as a kitchen using the room divider tool, which acts as an invisible wall but still allows you to define rooms within your plan. So in our floor plan, I'm going to go over to my wall tools. I'm going to select our room divider, and then I'm just going to click and drag about where I want that room divider to be. And then once I'm happy with it, we will have our room formed. And then I'm going to press spacebar, and then we can select once in the area. And notice now that we can select this room independently of this room. So let's go ahead and double click in this small area, which will end up being our kitchen. And we're going to change our room type to be a kitchen, and then press OK. And you'll notice how in our 3D view our room type is updated with a new flooring. And one last thing before we transition to building our unfinished basement, you'll notice that when we define that room type as a kitchen, we had a room label appear in our floor plan, and it also has the room size. So next, let's make that unfinished basement, and let's take a look at a photo of what the final unfinished basement will look like. To create our unfinished basement, we're going to start off by making some edits to our foundation. First, we're going to draw some foundation walls to create a room for this unfinished basement. We'll then open up this room and change it to the proper height for an unfinished basement and put a floor underneath this room. And lastly, add some stairs connecting the unfinished basement to the first floor. So let's go ahead and minimize our photo and make our floor plan our main designing screen to get started. And right now we're on the first floor in our floor plan, and you can tell that right here. But you can adjust what floor you're on using these arrows. So we can go down one floor to our basement level, and if you have a second floor, you can go up one floor or to your attic level. And to add more floors to your design, you'll go to Build, Floor, and then build a new floor, insert a floor between floors, and exchange some of these floors. You can also build your foundation. So let's take a look at what this Build Foundation dialog box looks like. Depending on which program you're using, this Build Foundation dialog box might look a little bit different, but in Home Designer Pro you can specify whether your foundation is going to be a standard wall with a footing, a grade beam on piers, or a monolithic slab, and what that slab thickness is. When you're specifying just a wall with a footing, you can set that footing size and the height of that stem wall. So if your foundation is just a traditional crawl space, you'll probably have it set at 37.5 inches. If your entire foundation was going to be a basement, you could change this to 8 feet, which would be the ceiling height, and then you'll automatically have a basement with 8-foot high ceilings. In Home Designer Pro, you can also specify some of the different options for the piers and some of the different options for how the foundation should build underneath the garage. Let's go ahead and press cancel to this, and we're just going to go down to our basement level where you can see we have these foundation walls. And let's actually go to the foundation level in our dollhouse view as well. So we're going to switch over to our 3D camera and just go down one level and then zoom out a little bit so we can see what's going on. So to get started, we're going to specify which part of our basement is going to be the unfinished basement and which part of it is just going to be the traditional crawl space. So to do that, we're going to grab this foundation wall and drag it across. And let's go ahead and do this in our floor plan view. So I'm going to go to our floor plan, select our foundation wall, and then just click it and drag it across to the other side. We're going to get a message letting us know that auto rebuild foundations will be turned off by modifying our foundation, and if we would like to proceed. In this case, we're going to press yes, and then we'll have the foundation wall dragged across, and now we can select these rooms independently of each other. And if we take a look at what happened in our dollhouse view, you can see that foundation wall that was dragged across. Next, let's go ahead and select this space and change the ceiling height so we have an 8-foot high ceiling, and we'll also place a floor underneath this room. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit closer and select right here, and you'll notice it looks like I have this wall selected, but if you look closely you can see that we're getting an outline of this entire room, and you can also verify that you've selected the room in the bottom left hand corner. And in Home Designer software, by default, when you select on a wall, it's going to select the entire room, but if you needed to select just an individual wall, you could press tab, and there you can select individual walls. So once again, we're going to select the room and open up this room, and then we're going to give this room a specific room name of unfinished basement. And then we're going to go to the structure panel, and we're going to change our finished ceiling height to be 8 feet and press tab, and that will update our room preview box. Next, you'll notice that we currently do not have a floor underneath this room, but you can quickly just check this box right here to include a floor underneath your room. And this floor under this room option becomes available in Home Designer Pro. And if you're using one of our other Home Designer programs, you may have to give your floor a floor finish in order for this floor under the room to appear. But with this selected, we're just going to press OK. And then you can see how the program dropped our foundation to meet that 8-foot requirement, and now we have the floor underneath the room. So this is a good example of how you can create a plan with different foundation options in Home Designer software. In this plan in particular, we have an unfinished basement, a crawl space, and then a slab foundation. Next, let's go ahead and connect our unfinished basement to our first floor by adding a U-shaped stair in this corner over here. So to do this, let's work in both 2D and 3D at the same time. So I'm just going to take our dollhouse view and pull it over here, and I'm going to zoom in close right here. Next, if we want our stairs to be integrated into the framing system of the house, we can draw 2 interior walls along the inside of these foundation walls. So we're going to go up to our wall tools, and we're going to select our straight interior wall, and then just click and drag about where we want those interior walls to be, and then we're just going to select them and bump them up against that foundation wall. Next, let's go ahead and add our stairs to our design. So we're going to go up to our stair tools and our parent toolbar, and we have a couple of different stair tools. The one I have selected is our draw stairs, and this is just going to draw a standard straight set of stairs within your plan, and this works just by clicking and drawing your stairs. If we open it up, we can take a look at this dialog box. Here, if you want it to reach the floor above, you can press Make Best Fit, but if you have some manual adjustments you want to make to the stairs, you can adjust the treads, the stair sections, the style of the stairs, whether it's going to have different stringer options, a runner, winders, treads, and so forth. Different railing options for where this is going to be on the wall, and we'll come back and adjust some of these different options here in a little bit. But you can adjust your newels and balusters if you're going to have a different panel instead of newels and balusters, the line style, how the fill is going to look within your 2D view, the different materials on the stairs, and choose whether to include an arrow. We're going to go ahead and press cancel out of this, and we're actually going to delete this stair section right here. We also have this option for straight stairs, which is meant for going short distances from a deck or a door to a terrain. We have different curved stair options, and new to Home Designer 2018 is an L-shaped stair and a U-shaped stair, and then we also have a ramp and an option to just place a landing. So we're just going to select our U-shaped stair, and when we select that, we get this dialog box asking us what direction do we want to draw these stairs, and is there going to be a gap in between these U-shaped stairs. For our design, these options are fine how they are, so we're going to press OK, and then we get that preview showing us where those stairs are going, and notice that as we move these stairs to different walls, that preview updates. So we're going to go ahead and click our stair right there, and notice that as I have my mouse cursor change, the side that the stairs is going up changes as well. So we're just going to click and place it right there, and we can see how that placed within our 3D view, and let's actually orbit our view over there. There we go. So next we need to provide some support for these stairs by drawing some interior walls underneath them. So we're going to jump back into our floor plan, and we're going to adjust our interior walls located along this wall real quick. So we're just going to select it, press spacebar, and then select it and drag it back, and then drag it back again on this side. And then we're going to go up to our wall tools, select our interior wall, and zoom in and just click and drag where we want that interior wall to be underneath our stairs. And notice how in our 3D view the program's smart to recognize that you would not want this wall going to the ceiling, and so the program has cut that wall underneath our stairs. Notice, however, in our floor plan view we cannot see this wall, and this is because these stairs have a solid fill, so we cannot see through them. So what we can do is select these three stair sections, the two stair sections and the landing, and open them up, and then change the fill to have a transparent fill so we can see through these stairs and see where these walls are located. So I'm first going to select this landing and then hold Control on my keyboard and select the other two stair sections. Next, I'm going to open up these stairs, and then on this polygon specification I'm going to go to the fill style, and right here I'm going to change this transparency to have a transparent fill. So I'm going to press it at 50% and press tab, and you can see how that started to update in our preview. Then I'm going to press OK, and now we can see through these stairs and see where this wall is coming in. Selecting near that wall, I can press tab to select other objects in the general vicinity and continue to push this wall underneath the stairs if I needed to go further. Next, if we get over into our 3D view, one thing you'll notice is that these stairs are currently leading to nowhere. If we go back up to the first floor, you'll notice that these stairs are merging through this stair platform into the second floor. So we need to create a stairwell for these stairs. One of the convenient features in Home Designer is an auto stairwell tool. So what I can do is select our stair section, and in the bottom toolbar we have this option for auto stairwell, which will cut a hole in the first floor platform above our stairs. So I'm just going to click once, and instantly we have that stairwell created. Let's go back down to our basement level and continue drawing the walls underneath these stairs. So we're just going to draw a few more walls right here, and I'm going to go to our floor plan, select our straight interior wall tool, and then just click and drag a wall right there, and then click and drag another wall right there, and then once again using the arrows on our keyboard we can nudge them where necessary. So maybe right there, and then right there as well. So let's make one final adjustment to this section of stairs by just dragging this out. There we go. pressing spacebar. Next, let's slightly adjust the railing style and stringers on these stairs. So I know that I do not want a rail against the wall on both of these stairs sections. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up these stairs and uncheck railing at wall, and pressing spacebar I can just select on this stair and open it, and notice I get both stair sections because we have these stairs connected with the landing and we had used that U-shaped stair tool in the beginning. We select both stair sections. So what I can do is just go to railing and uncheck railing at wall left for the bottom section and railing at wall right for the top section, and press OK. And there we've removed the railing at the wall for both sections. And then next I would like to remove the stringer just against the wall on only the top section. So what I can do is press spacebar and then hold Control on my keyboard and select the top stair section. Go down to the bottom left hand corner and open it up. And you can see there that I only have the one stair section selected. Next I can go to Style and uncheck Stringer at Wall, and we'll remove that stringer on the wall only for that top stair section, and press OK. And there we've removed that stringer against the wall. So that's going to complete all the work we're going to do on this unfinished basement. We have a large amount of training videos and help articles on our website dedicated to building foundations and basements. So if you need more assistance with building a particular basement or foundation style, please see the training resources on our website. So next let's work on designing the roof for our house. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of our dollhouse view and zoom out a little bit in our floor plan. And I'm going to go back up to our first floor. And then I'm going to get in a perspective full overview. And you can see our roof how it is right now. With Home Designer software, when you build a roof, it's automatically going to put a hip roof over all your walls. If we take a look at our final design, we're going to have a gable roof over some of our walls in the front, and in the back we're going to have a gable wall over this main section right here. So let's go ahead and review the different roof tools we have within the program. So I'm going to minimize these photos, and to access these roof tools you can go to Build, Roof, and depending on which program you have, these roof options may look a little bit different. Home Designer Pro is going to have much more advanced roof design tools compared to any of our other Home Designer programs. But to build your general roof, you can go to Build Roof. Here we have the Build Roof dialog box, and depending on which program you're using, this dialog box may have more advanced options. Home Designer Pro will have the most design options for your roof, but you can select whether you're automatically rebuilding the roofs like we are now or not to. You can also force rebuild your roofs with this option, change the pitch, raise or lower certain roof planes, and you have other options as well. In Home Designer Pro you have options for adjusting the eaves, ceilings, and other various options within the roof. In Home Designer Pro you can adjust how the roof interacts with your structure, the arrow, the materials. And then one really great resource for learning more about creating different roof styles within our Home Designer programs is this last option right here for roof styles. Here you can find more options for creating specific roof styles as seen here, and you can click on one of these such as the gable roof, and a help article will pop up with instructions on how to build this specific roof. So here we have instructions on how you can modify those walls to build that roof style and what you need to check within the build roof and wall dialogues to build this roof style. Let's go ahead and exit out of this, and then you can also press help right here to get a more general menu about what the different roof dialog options mean as seen here. So we're going to close out of this and start by designing our roof. So if you recall in our photos, the front had a gable roof over this wall right here over our garage. So let's go ahead and minimize this, and then we're going to work in both 2D and 3D to do this. So we're just going to come down to this wall that we would need the gable roof over, and we're going to select the wall by pressing spacebar and then going down to open in the bottom toolbar. And then if we go to the roof panel, you have different options for how the roof's going to build over this wall. So for this particular wall, we're going to select full gable and then press OK. And with auto rebuild roofs turned on, that wall will rebuild with a gable roof over it. If we take a look at our photo again, this wall on the left hand side is going to have a gable over it as well. So let's go ahead and modify our structure to have a gable on that side. So we're going to come over here and select the wall, and you might think you need to open the wall again and select gable again to change it to a gable wall. You have a shortcut in your toolbar to instantly change it to a gable wall right here. So we're going to go ahead and click that, and we can see how that updated within our 3D preview. Next, our photos shows that we're going to need a gable over our doors and windows right here. So let's go ahead and add this. And to do this, we're going to zoom in close over here and press spacebar. And then I'm going to select both windows and the door. And then in our bottom toolbar, we can see that we currently have 3 objects selected, and we have a shortcut right here to build a gable over these doors and windows. And then we can specify what the pitch will be and how far we want it to overhang. And we're just going to press OK. And then we'll quickly have a gable created over those doors and windows. Next, we're going to orbit our view over to this side, and I know that we're going to have a gable right here. So in our floor plan, you'll notice that if I click on this wall, we get the whole wall selected, and we don't necessarily want a gable running this entire length. So what we need to do is section off this wall into 2 separate wall sections. To do this, we have a special tool called break wall. So I'm going to select this tool and then select where we want to place that break. So I'm going to zoom in close and place it right there. And you can see where that wall was broke with that dashed line. And then I'm going to press spacebar, zoom out a little bit, and now we can select these 2 wall sections independently of each other. So I'm going to select this section right here and then change it to a gable, and you can see how that built within our 3D view. And then lastly, if we look at our photo of the back of the design, we have a gable wall and roof in this area right here. So let's go ahead and design this, minimizing that photo, and let's take our 3D view to the back, and we're just going to navigate our floor plan over there. And then let's go ahead and add a few doors while we're at it. So we're going to go up to our door tool and add an exterior door there. And actually, let's place a copy of these French doors right here. So I'm going to press spacebar, select the door, and delete it. And then I'm going to grab our French doors, press copy, and then just place a copy right here. And then add a few more windows into our design. So I'm going to go up to our window tool and then just click and place some windows right there. And you'll notice that we cannot see our roof planes in our 2D floor plan, and this is because we turned that layer off in the very beginning. So let's go ahead and turn this layer back on. So I'm going to press spacebar, select our layer display options, and press R to be brought down to our layers that start with R. And then I'm going to find our roof planes, and I'm just going to check to display them, and then I'm also going to select our roof baselines and then press OK. And we can now see those within our floor plan. And then to add that gable roof in this area right here, I'm going to use a special roof tool called the gable line. So I'm going to go up to build, roof, and then I'm going to select gable roof line. And this is a feature that becomes available starting in Home Design or Architectural. And then I can just click and drag where I want this gable roof line to be. And you'll notice that in our 3D view, we get a gable roof where that line was. I'm going to select that line, and then we can open it up, and we can change the pitch of the roof where that line is and the overhang of the roof where that line is. Let's go ahead and change the pitch to be a 6-inch rise on a 12-inch run. And then if we go down to the line, we can change the length of this line, which will affect the length of the gable roof section. And we're going to change this to 25 feet and then press enter. And that's going to update within our floor plan and within our 3D view. So that's going to be all the work we do on the roof in this demonstration. If you need more information about designing roofs within Home Designer, we have a beginning and advanced roof demonstration. So next, let's close out of our 3D view and move on to designing our kitchen. And let's take a look at a photo of what our final kitchen design is going to look like. In our final kitchen design, we're going to be adding cabinets, appliances, creating custom backsplash, changing our materials, and then adding some electrical components to our design. So let's go ahead and minimize our photo. And before we get started on our kitchen, let's start off by cleaning up our floor plan a little bit. So I'm going to open up our layer display options, and I'm going to turn off the display of our roof planes and our roof baselines. So I'm just going to go down to that layer and then just hide the display and hide the display of our roof planes and our room labels. And then we're just going to press OK and zoom in our view close. And then we're getting it into a 3D camera, and we're going to be in our full camera for designing our kitchen. So I'm just going to click and drag our camera, and then I'm going to press spacebar and adjust our views slightly. And then next I'm going to go up to our cabinet tools, and in our cabinet tools we have several different options: a base cabinet, a wall cabinet, a full height cabinet, soffit, a shelf, a partition, and then in Home Designer, Architectural, and Professional you have a custom countertop and custom backsplash. And I'm going to select our base cabinet tool, and notice how in our 3D view I get an outline as to where that base cabinet is going. And in Home Designer, cabinets are smart objects, meaning that they'll interact with your plan how you would often see them in the real world. So notice right now I'm just getting a square base cabinet, but as I drag it into the corner, the cabinet turns into a corner cabinet. And I can click once and we instantly have that cabinet dropped in. Let's double click on this cabinet once and take a look at its dialog box. So under the general panel, you have different options for cabinet style, the size, the countertop, controls for the backsplash, and then Home Designer Professional you have controls for the toe kick. In Home Designer Professional you have controls for the box construction. On this front panel you can control the design of the front panel of the cabinet, and Home Designer Professional has a more advanced interface than Home Designer Architectural and Suite. You can control the door and drawer styles and control the hardware, add a molding to the cabinet, and the molding feature is a feature that's available in Home Designer Architectural and Interiors. You can control the fill style, the materials, the label, and then you have the object information panel. So for this cabinet, if we wanted it to be a pie cut cabinet, we can go ahead and uncheck diagonal door, and that'll update in our 3D preview, and then we can press OK to accept how that's going to look in our plan. Currently we're in our standard rendering technique, but different rendering techniques allow you to see different properties of different objects. So I'm going to go ahead and switch our rendering technique from the standard view to our vector view, and there's a couple different options. We're going to be in the vector view for designing our kitchen, but we also have a glass house view, a technical illustration, a watercolor, and then you can adjust the properties of some of these different techniques. So we're going to be in our vector view, and I'm just going to navigate our view slightly so we're looking more down into our kitchen, and then I'm going to continue adding some cabinets into our design. So I'm going to select another base cabinet and bump it up against that first cabinet, and then I'm going to place another one right here, and then I'm going to select this cabinet. Notice that I get handles on the side so I can resize it, and notice that we get the dimensions of this cabinet as well. So as I drag this cabinet out, it's going to snap in 3-inch increments, which are going to be your standard cabinet sizes. But you can also resize your cabinets to custom sizes if needed. Next, I'm going to continue adding just 2 more cabinets on this wall. And notice on this cabinet right here that the program automatically put a set of double doors in. Once a cabinet is 27 inches wide, the program recognizes you typically wouldn't have a cabinet with a door that wide, and so it changes it to a set of double doors. Let's go ahead and add another cabinet to the other side of our corner cabinet, and then let's change this cabinet to a set of drawers. So I'm going to double click on it to open it up, and I'm going to click on this door right here to instantly be brought down to the front panel. And then I know that I want 4 drawers in this cabinet, all the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this auto right door, and then I'm also going to go ahead and delete this opening that we have here. And then notice now that we have 1 drawer in here, and what I'm going to do is select this drawer and then split it horizontally, and now we have 2 drawers. I'm once again going to split each one of these copies horizontally. There we go. And then just to verify that they're the same size, I'm going to click on the vertical parent layout, and then I'm going to click on equalize just to make sure that they're all the same size. And these advanced cabinet design options I was using become available in Home Designer Professional. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And then on this cabinet over here, I'm going to change the door to be swinging from the other side. So I'm going to open it up, click on the door, and then change it from auto right to auto left. And then just press OK. Next, I'm going to put in our range oven right here. So to do this, I'm going to open what's called the library browser, and the library browser will be where you store your different objects and materials in the program. We have the core catalogs, which are going to be items that download by default with the program, bonus catalogs, which you can download from our website, manufacturer specific catalogs, which can be downloaded from the website, and then your user catalog, where you can add items that you use frequently to be used and referenced quickly in future designs. I'm going to go ahead and open up our core catalogs and find the oven that we want to use. Going down to ranges, standalone, the standard size, and then I'm going to select this professional range right here, and then just come over in our plan and bump it up against that cabinet, and then just click once to drop it in. Now that we have that range dropped in, I'm going to adjust the countertop slightly on this cabinet, so I'm going to press spacebar, double click on this cabinet, and then on the countertop panel I'm going to uncheck the uniform distribution, and I'm going to change the right side to have an overhang of 0 inches just so that it's bumping up smooth against our range, and then press OK. And then I'm going to take a copy of this cabinet and reflect it to the other side of the range, and that's a feature that becomes available in Home Designer Professional. So once we have that range, I'm just going to click once, and then now we have that cabinet on the other side. Next, if we take a look at our final photo of the kitchen, we're going to be adding a dishwasher and a sink over on this side. So let's go ahead and find those from within our library and add those. And I know that that dishwasher is going to be located within our manufacturer's catalog, and it's going to be under our Viking manufacturer. So I'm just going to locate that, and then I can just click on the one I want and then just click on the cabinet to drop it in. And then next, I already have that sink that I want to use saved in my user library. So I'm just going to open up our user library, select on the folder I want, and then just find our sink. And then I can just click on it and drop it into the cabinet. And the program's smart enough to recognize that with the sink in it that this will be a false drawer. And then next we're going to add some wall cabinets into our design. So to do this, I'm going to jump back into our floor plan view, and then I'm going to go back up to our cabinet tools and select our wall cabinet. And just like the base cabinet, once you drag it into the corner, it'll automatically conform to the corner. And I'm going to open it up and uncheck diagonal and click OK. And then I'm going to place another corner cabinet, or excuse me, wall cabinet right there. Open it up and change the width of it to 21 inches and press enter. And then I'm just going to bump it up against our other cabinet. And then I'm also going to place one more cabinet right here. So I'm just going to click on it and drop it in. And then this cabinet is going to be 3 feet wide, so I'm going to double click on it to open it up and change the width to 36 inches and press OK. And then I'm just going to move it into the position where I want it, right there. And then we're going to add some more wall cabinets to our wall on the perpendicular side. So I'm going to select the wall cabinet tool and just place the cabinet right there, click on it and resize it. And then just drop in another wall cabinet right next to that one and double click on this one to open it up and change this one's width to 18 inches and press OK. And then just move it up against the other one. And then I'm going to place our range hood over our range now. So I'm going to go to our user library once again, and I already have our flat hood picked out, and I'm just going to click once in our plan to place it, and then pressing spacebar I'm going to select it and then drag it back against the wall, and then make sure we have it centered over our range oven. And then I'm going to select this wall cabinet and then copy and reflect it about our range. There we go. And then next we're going to place a partition next to our cabinets right here. So I'm going to go up to our cabinet tools and select our partition and just drop it in right there. And then I'm going to click on it and drag it out so it's meeting our base cabinet at the front over here. And then I'm going to double click on it to open it up, and I want to make sure we have its height at 70 inches, which it already is. And then we're going to drop in our refrigerator right next to that partition. So I'm going to select it from my user library and then just click once in my plan to drop it in. And then I'm going to select it and then push it back next to that partition. There we go. And then I'm going to place a full height cabinet on the other side of our refrigerator. So I'm going to select that from our cabinet tools and then just come into our floor plan and drop it in. And then next I'm going to drop in one more wall cabinet underneath our fridge. So I'm going to go over to our wall cabinet tool and then just click and drop it in right there, select it, and then resize it so that it's meeting up with our other wall cabinet, and then just bring it forward to the front of the fridge as well. And let's take a look at this in our full camera. You can see how everything's starting to come in. And then next we're going to add a window underneath our sink. So I'm going to go up to our window tool and then just click once to drop it in. And you can see it's too wide there, so let's go ahead and resize it. I'm going to double click on the window and change its width to 42 inches and press enter. And then I want to make sure we have it centered over our sink. So I'm going to click on our center object tool and then just come over to our sink. And there we verified that it's centered over our sink. And then the last thing I want to do is resize our full height cabinet on this side slightly. So I'm going to select it and then drag it in a little bit. So next we're going to go ahead and add a backsplash to our kitchen. And to do this I'm going to go up to our cabinet tools, and starting in Home Designer Architectural you get that custom backsplash feature. So I'm just going to select on the tool, and I can just click on the wall that I want to place that custom backsplash to, and you'll notice that it automatically cuts that backsplash around our cabinets. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on this wall over here. So we're just going to select our custom backsplash tool and then come over to the wall and click once to drop it in, and then just select it and drag it down to those cabinets below. And then next let's drop in our kitchen island. And I've already made our kitchen island and added it to our user library, and this island is considered an architectural block, which an architectural block is 2 or more items that are grouped together that can be moved and saved as a single unit. And this architectural block feature becomes available in Home Designer Architectural. So I'm going to select our kitchen island and then just drop it into our plan, and then I'm going to jump over to our floor plan view and then zoom out and press spacebar, select our kitchen island, and then just position it where I want to in our kitchen. And I'm happy with it placed there, so I'm going to go ahead and unblock this, which is down in our bottom toolbar. And then if you wanted to take your objects and form an architectural block, you can select them by holding Control and then select the Make Architectural Block, and they'll be grouped together. I'm going to go ahead and undo that, And then lastly, to add an item to your user library, you can press this button right here. Next, we're going to change the materials in our plan, so let's take a look at what our final material selection is going to look like. So we're going to start off by changing the material on our backsplash from a white subway tile to a green glass strip tile, change our cabinets from white to brown, and then make sure the countertop materials match in our design. So we're going to minimize our photo, and then get back into our full camera view. And then to change a material in our plan, I'm going to use a tool called the Material Painter. Now the Material Painter will open up the library browser where you can then select materials to use in the design. So I'm going to find that glass strip tile that we want to use on our backsplash, and then just click once on it and press OK. And then notice that my mouse cursor has changed to a spray can. So I'm just going to click once where I want to apply this material, and it'll change throughout our design where we click. Let's go ahead and switch our rendering technique back to our standard rendering technique. And then next I want to change our cabinets to a brown material. So I'm going to go over to our library browser and type in the name of the brown material that we're going to be using. Select it. And then notice that my mouse cursor has changed to a paint roller, meaning I can blend this material with the textures in our plan. And this is something you can turn on and off in the bottom toolbar. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And then notice that we have a couple different modes for how we want to distribute this material throughout our plans. So currently I'm in component mode, which will replace the material on a single component with the selected material. So I've selected our material and I'm in component mode, and there I've clicked on only our drawer faces, so there I've only replaced the material on that single component. I can switch to object mode and replace all like materials on the object with this selected material. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for this wall cabinet up above. And then I've got a couple of other different modes: room mode, floor mode, and plan mode. With room mode selected, we will replace all like materials in a single room with the selected material. So I'm going to switch to room mode and then just click once on these cabinets, and there you can see we've replaced that white material on all the cabinets in our design. Next, I want to make sure that our countertops on both our island and the base cabinets over against our walls match. So to do this, I'm going to use a tool called the Material Eyedropper, which will allow you to pick up a material and then distribute it to other objects. So we're going to pick up that material on our island, and then notice that we have the different modes for how we can distribute this material in the bottom left-hand corner. And I'm just going to change it to room mode, and then distribute it to all these countertops over here. Next, we're going to get into a wall elevation, dimension the cabinets, and then send that elevation to a layout sheet. So I'm going to jump back to our floor plan, and I'm going to go to our camera tools, and I'm going to select our wall elevation. And this is a feature that becomes available starting in Home Design Architectural. And I'm going to close out of our library browser, and then we can edit our cabinets if we wanted to, just like any of our other views here. But what we want to do is dimension these cabinets and send them to our layout sheet. So I'm going to go up to our dimension tool, and I'm just going to make sure we have our manual dimensions selected, and then I'm just going to click and drag a dimension line through our cabinets. And I'm just going to stop right there. And then you can select this dimension line, drag it off, and then modify any of the points that this dimension line is picking up. So notice that we're getting both the cabinet and the backsplash there. So I'm just going to drag this point off. We're picking up the center of our appliance there, the center of our appliance here. And then I need to capture the dimension for our corner cabinet. So I'm going to come over to this diamond handle and then add a dimension right there. And then we could do the same thing at the top if we wanted to. Next, we're going to send this wall elevation to a layout sheet, and this dedicated layout sheet feature becomes available in Home Designer Professional. So I'm going to go up to the feature right here in our toolbar, send a layout, click it once, and then press yes, I would like to create a new layout. And then here we have information about how we want to send it over. We're just going to change the scale to be a 1/2 inch equals 1 foot, and then press OK. And with this layout sheet feature, you can modify this title box to reflect your information, your client's information, or anything else you really want to. So with our wall elevation over on the side, I'm just going to click and drag it to the corner, and that's going to conclude all we're going to do with this layout sheet. If you needed to, you could send over your floor plan, your 3D views, and other pieces of information to form your layout sheets. We're going to go ahead and jump back into our floor plan and add some electrical to our kitchen. So I'm going to go up to our electrical tools, and I'm going to select a light, and I'm just going to drop 3 lights into our plan. And then I'm going to select all of them, holding Control on my keyboard. And then I'm going to select copy and paste in place, and then just drag this copy over to the other side of our kitchen. And you can always add more lights just depending on what your design requires. Next, we're going to connect these lights with a switch. So I'm going to drop in 2 switches, one right there and then one right there. And then we're going to connect our electrical with this connect electrical tool right here. So I'm going to select our switch and then just click and drag that we're bringing it over to this light and bringing it to other lights in our design. And notice what happens when I come over to the switch right here. The program's going to change the switch to a three-way switch. If you want to clean up some of these connected electrical lines to see where they're going to a little bit better, you can select the line and then move them with the edit handle. Next, we're going to add some outlets into our design. So I'm going to go over to our outlet tool, and we have an auto place outlet tool which will place outlets throughout your plan loosely based on industry standards. And because we had marked this room as a kitchen, notice that these outlets came in as GFCI outlets. Next, let's take a look at our framing features within Home Designer software. Within Home Designer Professional, you have manual and automatic controls over your framing. So to take a look at those, you can go to Build, Framing, and you have a variety of framing tools here. In Home Designer Suite and Architectural, you just have automated framing. So to look at your framing, you go to your camera tools and you have this perspective framing overview right here, and clicking once you'll instantly see the framing generated for your model. And once again, in Home Designer Professional, you have manual framing tools. So if you wanted to add a truss to your roof or set up a floor joist system, you can do that as well. We're going to go ahead and close out of this framing view and get back into our floor plan. And next we're going to be adding some terrain to our plan. But first, let's go ahead and close out of our layout sheet. And we don't need to save this. And we're going to go ahead and close down our wall elevation as well. And notice that we have a saved camera for that wall elevation right here since we had sent it to a layout. So to add terrain to our plan, we're going to go up to our top toolbar and click on terrain. And here you'll have a variety of terrain features. Creating the terrain perimeter will create the general terrain boundary. And then you can also add elevation data to your terrain if you have a sloping lot. Add a variety of different features to your terrain, add a road or sidewalk, and use a plant chooser to pick out plants in the program based on a variety of characteristics. So we're just going to go to Create Terrain Perimeter, and instantly a terrain perimeter will be created around our plan. We can click on this terrain perimeter and resize it with the dimensions if we needed to, and drag these handles out a little bit. Let's take a look at this in a 3D perspective full overview. You can see how the terrain came in and it cut everything at the proper heights within our plan. Let's go ahead and add our driveway, and I'm going to work in both 2D and 3D to add this. So I'm going to come over into our floor plan, and I'm going to go up to our terrain tools and select our straight driveway tool. And I'm just going to click and drag where I want that driveway area to be. Right there looks good. And then next I'm going to add some front steps right there. And I've already got an architectural block saved in my user library for this. I'm going to go down and just select it from my user library. And then just click where I want to drop it in. And then just push it back up so it's meeting against that door. And then I'm also going to make sure we have it centered on that door. Next, let's add a sidewalk to our plan. So to do this, I'm going to go back into our terrain tools, down to road and sidewalk, and select the straight sidewalk, and then just click and drag where I want that sidewalk to be, starting at our front door and going out to the front of our lot, and then over to our driveway area as well. And then next, let's add some plants to our design. And once again, I already have these plants chosen and saved in our user library. So I'm just going to select our group of plants and drop them in, one on that side and then one on the other side. And then I'm going to select our second set of plants and drop them in right here. And I'm just going to select that and move it back into our plan. There we go. And then I'm also going to select this garden bed that I have and drop it in towards the front. And then one more over here, and then I'm just going to select them and rotate them into position a little bit. There we go on the first one, and then I'm going to rotate this second one 90 degrees. And then let's make our 3D screen our full screen, just to see how that came in. So now our front of our design is looking good, and then next let's add a porch onto the back, or a deck onto the back. So to do this, I'm going to jump back into our floor plan, and we have a variety of decking tools that you can use, and they are located right here within your plan. So the first two options are going to be a straight and curved railing, and these railing features are more used for interior railings, but then below them you have a deck railing, both straight and curved, and then straight and curved deck edge, and then a polygon shaped deck. So I'm going to select our straight deck edge and then just click and drag about where we want to draw our deck. So right there looks good. And notice as soon as that was created, we can press spacebar and select within that deck because a room is formed. If we double click on one of these deck edges, you'll notice that it has many of the same panels that we see for our walls, and that's because it's acting similarly to a wall, but some of these options are a little bit different. You can see that we have railing checked right here. If we had used one of our deck railing tools under the rail style and the newels and balusters panels where we could further customize that, let's go ahead and cancel out of this, and then let's double click in the room, and you'll see that this room type is automatically a deck. And then starting in Home Design Architectural, you get tools for modifying the deck planking and the deck joists. And then in Home Design and Professional, you get tools for modifying the deck beams, posts, and post footings. Let's go ahead and close out of this. And then one last thing I wanted to show you is inserting a backdrop into your design. So currently we do not have a backdrop in our plan. So let's go ahead and change our settings so that we do have a backdrop. So to add a backdrop into our plan, I'm going to go up to our default settings. I'm going to select Camera, 3D Views, and then I'm going to go to Backdrop, and then here I'm going to select a backdrop. So if you have an empty lot, you can go out to the lot, take a picture of the lot, and then within the program import the photo and then use it as a backdrop for your plan. So I've got one that I want to use, and I'm going to select it and make sure that we have it turned on in our perspective overviews, and then press OK and done. And that will be added as a backdrop into our plan so that we can see what our house is going to look like against our surrounding scenery. And now that we've added our backdrop, that's completed our design. I wanted to thank you for attending this quick start demonstration. We have a free trial version of all of our programs available if you're using an older program or are interested in evaluating the features that are available in a more powerful program. We have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee on program purchases. If you're using an older version of the software, we do have upgrade discounts available. And then two great resources for increasing your knowledge of the software are the free training videos available on our website and the knowledge base how-to articles. If you're interested in connecting with other home designer software users, make sure to check out the Home Talk user forum. If you have any questions or need help choosing a program, feel free to give us a call at 208-292-3400 or email sales@chiefarchitect.com. Once again, I wanted to thank you for attending this home designer software demonstration, and I hope you have a good day.